Miss, it's right here. So me and Jen picked Isaac Newton's laws of motion for our culminating. So I hope you enjoy it. What is Newton's three laws? So Newton's laws of motion are three physical laws that together laid the foundation for classical mechanics. They describe the relationship between a body and the forces acting upon it, and its motion in response to said forces. So before we start our actual culminating, we want to educate you, Miss, with some interesting facts about Isaac Newton. Hey Jen, what did you think about that?
That's a great idea, Rhea. Did you know that Isaac Newton wasn't supposed to survive because he was 11 to 15 weeks premature?
So another fact about Isaac Newton is that he really did not like his stepfather. So Isaac was an avid list maker, and one of his preserved lists included all of the sins he felt he had committed up until the age of 19. One of them included quotations threatening my father and mother Smith to burn them at the house and the house over them. And then the quotation ended. Then another quotation, it says, "You can hardly blame the guy though." When Smith proposed to Isaac's mother, Isaac wasn't part of the deal, so the 3-year-old Isaac Newton was sent to live with his grandmother.
You know the legend where Newton was sitting under a tree and an apple fell and then a light bulb clicked off in his head saying the whole works about gravity? Yeah, that's actually not true. The real story is that he was looking out of his window and he saw an apple fall from the tree. Even then, some of Newton's scholars were thinking that the story was entirely made up.
Another fact about Isaac Newton that he was a stutterer, but it put him in a good company.
Newton was a genius, but he was not a politician. The whole time that Newton was in Parliament, he only spoke once, and that was to ask someone to open up a window.
Remember that supposed apocalypse in 2012? Well, Isaac Newton actually spent a lot of time studying that subject, and in fact, he believed that God has chosen him specifically to interpret the Bible, and apparently the Bible said, and he made a conclusion that the world would end no sooner than 2060.
Newton was actually supposed to be a farmer. He was born into a farming family. But at a young age, he convinced his uncle to convince his mom to let him go back to school because farming was just not his thing.
The fact is that his dog actually set his laboratory on fire, which ruined 20 years of research, but apparently he never even owned the dog. But hypothesizing that he left a window open and a gust of wind knocked over the lit candle. But the dog story lives on, and it was recorded as early as 1833 in the life of Sir Isaac Newton. Now we can start our culminating. So, Miss, enjoy again.
Newton's first law. Every object possesses a property that is called inertia.
Inertia is a property of matter that causes your body to resist changes in its state of motion. Or the higher the mass of an object, the more inertia the object has.
The example that was shown for Newton's first law is basically Jen throwing a volleyball specifically, over my head. And this represents Newton's first law because inertia kept the ball from going straight to curving back down where I was standing. And if there was no inertia, the gravity would have pulled down the ball from where it was. Newton's second law. The second law of motion states that acceleration is produced when an unbalanced force acts on an object. The more mass an object has, the more net force has to be used to move it.
Inertia is a property of matter that causes your body to resist changes. Therefore, when you're in a car and you're going around a bend, your body goes the opposite way of the car. For the second law, it is easier to push an empty shopping cart than a full shopping cart.
Why?
Because the full shopping cart has more mass than an empty shopping cart. Newton's third law states that every reaction has an equal but opposite reaction. Acts with the same momentum but opposite velocity.
Example for our Newton's third law is me hitting the wall. So basically in this example there were two forces. My force that was applied to the wall and an equal and opposite force applied by the wall to my fist. Or the harder I hit the wall, the more force is exerted to my fist from the wall, and this is why my hand really hurts. And that concludes our culminating. Thanks, Miss, for listening. And happy marking, Miss. Bye.